What if the world you perceive is not the reality? Welcome to another fascinating episode on Weird Reddit 111. Today we're diving deep into the concept of perception. What if I told you that the world you see, hear, touch, taste, and smell might not be as it seems? That's right. The reality we perceive is not always the true reality. It's a construct of our minds, influenced by our past experiences, biases, and the limitations of our sensory organs. This brings us to the concept of a glitch in the matrix. You might be familiar with this term if you're a fan of the iconic science fiction movie, The Matrix. A glitch in the matrix refers to an explanation for an extraordinary event or perception that seems to defy the laws of physics and reality. In the movie, it's used to describe inexplicable phenomena that occur when the simulated reality of the matrix doesn't quite sync up with the real world. But this isn't just science fiction. There are countless stories out there, some shared by people like you and me, which seem to suggest that there might be more to our perception of reality than we think. Stories of impossible coincidences, inexplicable experiences, and things that just don't seem to add up. Now, we're not saying that we're living in a computer simulation. What we're exploring is the idea that our perception of the world might not always reflect the true nature of reality. These glitch in the matrix stories serve as a fascinating exploration of this concept. So are you ready to question everything you thought was real, to push the boundaries of what you believe is possible? We're about to delve into 6 mind-bending stories that might just make you reconsider your perception of reality. Are you ready to question everything you thought was real? Let's dive into the first story. Our first story is quite a mind-bender. Imagine this. You're living your life as usual, going through the motions of your daily routine, when suddenly something completely out of the ordinary happens. This isn't your usual run-of-the-mill oddity. No, this is something that makes you question the very fabric of reality itself. This is the tale of a regular user on the internet who shared their strange encounter on a public forum. They were walking down a familiar street one day when they suddenly felt a jarring shift in their surroundings. Buildings seemed to have moved overnight, roads were no longer where they remembered, and even the air felt different. It was as if they had stepped into an alternate version of their own world. Now, let's take a look at some of the comments on this story. One user offered a scientific perspective, suggesting that perhaps the person had experienced a sudden onset of jamais vu, a psychological phenomenon where familiar places seem strange and unfamiliar. Quite the intriguing hypothesis, isn't it? Another comment took a more philosophical route, musing about the nature of perception and reality. They pointed out that reality, as we know it, is largely subjective and can be influenced by our state of mind. So, could it be that our storyteller's mind had, for some reason, decided to distort their perception of their surroundings? The third comment was from a user who had experienced something similar. They shared their own story about feeling out of place in their own home, adding a sense of camaraderie and shared bewilderment to the discussion. It seems our storyteller isn't alone in their glitchy experience. Finally, the fourth comment proposed a more fantastical explanation, suggesting that our storyteller had stumbled into a parallel universe. A bit far-fetched, perhaps, but in a world where scientists are seriously discussing the existence of multiverses, who's to say what's possible and what's not? Quite a twist, wasn't it? Now, brace yourself for the next one. Just when you thought things couldn't get any weirder. We dive headfirst into our second glitch story. Imagine, if you will, a world where you're casually going about your day, minding your own business, when suddenly you're no longer where you thought you were. You're somewhere else entirely, a place you've never been before, yet it feels strangely familiar. This is the reality our storyteller found themselves in. Walking down a bustling city street, they suddenly found themselves in a quiet, serene forest. The sudden switch was disorienting, to say the least. One moment they were surrounded by the noise and chaos of city life. The next, they were surrounded by the peaceful sounds of nature. They could even smell the fresh pine in the air. But just as quickly as they found themselves in this forest, they were abruptly back on the city street, the forest nowhere to be seen. Now, let's dive into the comments that this story has sparked. One user wrote, "This sounds like a classic case of a reality jump." It said that there are countless parallel realities and sometimes we can accidentally jump between them. A fascinating perspective, isn't it? Are we constantly shifting between realities without even Realizing it, another user chimed in with a more scientific explanation, suggesting that it could be a case of transient global amnesia, a temporary loss of memory that can cause confusion and disorientation. Could our brains misfiring be responsible for these glitch experiences? The third comment takes a spiritual approach, speculating that the storyteller had a brief connection with a past life. They wrote, "Perhaps in a past life you lived in a forest and for a moment your souls overlapped. Could our past lives influence our current reality in such a profound way?" The final comment we'll explore today suggests that this could be a case of quantum immortality. They wrote, "Maybe in another universe, you died and your consciousness moved to another version of you in a different universe." A chilling thought, isn't it? Each of these comments provides a unique perspective on this strange occurrence. Whether it was a reality jump, a brain glitch, a past life experience, or quantum immortality, we may never know. But these theories certainly give us some food for thought. These glitches in the Matrix stories remind us that our understanding of reality is limited and that there's so much more we have yet to discover. They urge us to question, to wonder, and to explore the mysteries of our existence. Let that sink in as we move on to our third glitch. Ready for another round of reality-defying experiences? Let's dive right into it. Our third glitch in the Matrix story brings us into the realm of the uncanny. It's a tale that begins with a mundane trip to the grocery store. Our storyteller recounts that as they reached for a carton of milk, they suddenly found themselves standing in an aisle of toys. No transition, no dizziness, no blinking. One moment, dairy. The next, plush teddy bears and board games. Just as quickly as it happened, they blinked and were back in the dairy aisle. Hand on the cold milk carton. They checked their watch. Not a second had passed, and yet they had an entire memory of being somewhere else entirely. Now let's delve into some perspectives on this. The first comment from a fellow Matrix navigator suggests that our storyteller might have experienced a form of quantum superposition. In layman's terms, they might have existed in two places at once, like a particle in quantum physics. Intriguing, isn't it? The second comment offers a different viewpoint. This user postulates that the storyteller experienced a brief overlap of parallel universes. Imagine that for a moment, our universe and another one just like it, but slightly different, overlapped. And for that moment, our storyteller was in the toy aisle of the grocery store in that other universe. The third comment takes a more skeptical approach. This user suggests that the storyteller might have had a momentary lapse in concentration, causing them to daydream or hallucinate the toy aisle. After all, the mind is a powerful thing and can play tricks on us when we least expect it. The last comment, however, takes a metaphysical route. This user suggests that the storyteller might have experienced a glitch in their personal timeline, a ripple in the fabric of their reality. Each of these perspectives offers a unique interpretation of the event. And while we may never know the truth, they certainly provide food for thought. So there you have it, folks. The third glitch in the Matrix story. A seemingly ordinary day turned extraordinary by a trip to the grocery store. What do you make of it? Could it be a glitch in the Matrix, a slip between parallel universes, a trick of the mind, or a ripple in personal reality? Hold on tight, we have more to unravel. It's about to get even spookier. We've reached the fourth glitch in the Matrix, and this one is a doozy. Picture this. A typical Tuesday afternoon, the sun is shining, and everything seems as it should be, but then in the blink of an eye, the ordinary becomes extraordinary. Our protagonist, let's call him Jake, is waiting at a bus stop. He's been at this same stop countless times before, but today something just doesn't seem right. It's as if the air itself is charged with an electric current, causing the hairs on the back of his neck to stand at attention. Suddenly, a bus pulls up. Not his bus, but a bus he's seen many times before. The doors open and out steps a man. This man is the spitting image of Jake. Same height, same build, even the same worn-out sneakers. The doppelganger doesn't notice Jake and walks off, leaving our protagonist in a state of shock. Now let's take a moment to dive into some of the comments on this story. Commenter 1 writes, "Maybe you have a twin you never knew about." It's a fair point, but Jake insists he's an only child, and his parents have never mentioned a long-lost brother. Commenter 2 suggests, could it have been a reflection or a trick of the light? Another valid point, but Jake is adamant that this was no illusion. He was wide awake, the sun was shining, and he was not standing near any reflective surfaces. The third commenter brings up a chilling theory. What if this is a sign of a parallel universe? Now, that's a thought. Could Jake have witnessed a glitch that allowed him to see into an alternate reality where his double exists? Lastly, commenter 4 chimes in with a more scientific view. This could be an example of a phenomenon called doppelganger syndrome, where people believe they see or even interact with their exact double. A fascinating perspective indeed. In the end, Jake is left with more questions than answers. Was it a trick of the mind, a glimpse into a parallel universe, or perhaps a signal that we're living in a simulation and the Matrix just glitched? This uncanny encounter leaves us pondering the nature of reality itself. Are we truly unique individuals, or are there copies of us living out different lives in parallel universes? And if there are glitches in this simulation, what does that mean for our understanding of existence? As we approach the end, the glitches get more intense. So brace yourselves, folks. We're about to delve into the 5th glitch in the Matrix, and who knows what reality-shattering revelations await us. What you're about to hear might make you question everything. So buckle up as we dive into the 5th glitch in our Matrix. Imagine this. You're walking down a familiar street, the same one you've walked down 1,000 times before, but today something is different. The air feels heavier, the colors of the world around you seem more vibrant, and the sounds are oddly amplified. You try to shake off this eerie feeling, telling yourself it's just your imagination playing tricks on you, but then you see it, your own reflection in a store window. But it's not just a reflection, it's you. Another you living a different life in a parallel universe. One user, let's call them Eerie Echo, shared such an experience. Eerie Echo was just an average person living an average life. But one day they saw themselves in a different life, a different world, right in the reflection of a store window. They stood there, frozen in disbelief, as they watched their doppelganger go about a seemingly normal day. Now let's dive into the comments. User Parallel Ponderer wrote, "This is a classic example of a parallel universe glitch. Our reality might just be one of many, each slightly different from the other." It's a chilling thought, isn't it, that there might be countless versions of us living out countless different lives in countless different realities. Another user, Skeptic101, offered a more grounded perspective. They wrote, "While it's fun to speculate about parallel universes, it's also possible that this was a case of mistaken identity. Our brains are wired to recognize patterns and faces, sometimes leading to false recognitions." A fair point, indeed. Sometimes our minds can play elaborate tricks on us. User Quantum Quandary took things a step further, commenting, "What if our decisions create these parallel universes? Every choice we make could be creating a new reality." It's a thought-provoking perspective, suggesting that we might be the architects of our own multiverse. Finally, Reality Ruminator added, "Whether this was a glimpse into a parallel universe or a trick of the mind, it's a reminder of how little we truly understand about our reality." This comment really hits home, doesn't it? Our understanding of reality is limited, and experiences like these remind us of the vast mysteries that lie beyond our comprehension. So there you have it, the 5th glitch in our Matrix. Was it a glimpse into a parallel universe, a case of mistaken identity, or something else entirely? We may never know for sure, but one thing is certain. Experiences like these make us question our understanding of reality and make our world a little more mysterious, a little more intriguing. Now, let's unravel our final glitch. Our final story is the most unsettling yet. Imagine, if you will, sitting at your desk, sipping your morning coffee, when suddenly your reflection in the mirror isn't you anymore. It's someone else, a stranger, looking back at you with your own eyes. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? This is exactly what happened to one Reddit user, and the discussion that followed was as intriguing as the story itself. One commenter, a neuroscientist, suggested it could be a neurological condition known as Capgras syndrome, where a person believes someone they know has been replaced by an imposter. Another suggested it may be a mental health issue, possibly a dissociative disorder. A third suggested it could be a paranormal event, a doppelganger perhaps. And yet another voiced a theory that we are living in a simulation, and this could be a glitch in the code. These diverse perspectives highlight the complexity of our reality and how it can be perceived differently by each one of us. They also remind us that the world is full of mysteries waiting to be uncovered. As we conclude this journey through the glitches in the Matrix, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've discovered. We've delved into the uncanny, the unexplained, the downright eerie, and the downright weird. We've explored the fine line between reality and perception and how easily it can blur. We've seen how our own minds can play tricks on us, and how the world around us can sometimes seem to glitch. Do you have your own glitch in the Matrix story? We'd love to hear about it. Share your experiences and thoughts in the comments below. Let's continue this fascinating discussion. Reality is a strange thing, isn't it? Help Weird Reddit 111 reach 1,000 subscribers by hitting the subscribe button. Don't forget to like and share the video. Thank you to all our new subscribers and viewers. Until next time, keep questioning your reality. As we were wrapping up, a new story unfolded. Someone just couldn't resist sharing one more glitch. A woman, let's call her Jane, was sitting in a cafe, engrossed in her book, when she suddenly heard a conversation. Two men were discussing a business deal, their voices clear and distinct. But when Jane looked up, the cafe was empty. No one was there. Puzzled, she went back to her book. A few minutes later, the door opened and in walked two men. They sat down at the next table and began discussing, you guessed it, the exact same business deal Jane had heard moments before. She was stunned. How could this be possible? Several theories surfaced in the comments. Some suggested it was a case of precognition, where Jane had somehow tapped into her ability to perceive future events. Others argued it was a classic case of déjà vu, where a person feels an uncanny sense of familiarity with something that shouldn't be familiar at all. And then there were those who suggested it was a time slip, a phenomenon where someone allegedly experiences a brief temporary shift in time. Jane is left pondering the nature of time and reality. Was it a glitch in the Matrix, or was it something more? As we delve deeper into these glitches, the line between reality and the surreal becomes increasingly blurred. Remember, reality is a strange thing, isn't it? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Until our next glitch, keep questioning your reality. Before we wrap up, let's dive into our final glitch story, a real head-scratcher that will leave you questioning the boundaries of reality. Our protagonist, let's call him John, woke up one morning in a completely unfamiliar house. The room was different, the bed was different, even the smell was different. It was as if he had been dropped into a completely new world overnight. He was alone, with no sign of any other inhabitants. Panic started to creep in as he wandered around the house, trying to make sense of his surroundings. Eventually, he found his way to a mirror and was shocked to find himself staring back. He was still him, but everything else had changed. John's story sparked a storm of theories. Some suggested he had experienced an extreme case of sleepwalking, ending up in a stranger's house. Others speculated on the possibility of an alien abduction, with extraterrestrials returning him to the wrong location. The most intriguing theory, however, pointed towards an alternate reality, suggesting that John had somehow slipped into a parallel universe while he slept. Despite numerous attempts to rationalize his experience, John was left questioning his sanity and the very nature of his existence. Was he dreaming? Was he hallucinating? Or had he genuinely experienced a glitch in the fabric of reality? The more he thought about it, the more questions arose. Our journey through these glitches certainly gives us a lot to think about, doesn't it? It challenges our understanding of reality and pushes us to question the world around us. Is reality as solid and predictable as we believe, or is it more fluid, filled with glitches and anomalies waiting to be discovered? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Until our next exploration into the glitches of reality, keep questioning, keep exploring.